Good morning. Should I be saying good morning? You may be watching this thing in the evening. Yeah, I decided to wear a suit today still. I think it's been long I did. Let not be like I'm an unserious somebody. In my last video, I made a statement from an observation I made recently. Not necessarily is a recent observation, but it's something that became reinforced. I saw that most books on success now deviates from what it used to be, in the days of Zig Ziglar, the days of John Mason, days of Brian Tracy. What those people talk about as the principles of success were things that were innate. They talked about innate ability, things that you had control over. But as it stands today, most books that talk about success focus more on the external. They focus on things like savings, having a saving. They focus on things like buying real estate, starting a business. Forgetting that most persons that are starting out in life hardly could have these access, hardly could have access to these things. The first video I made, I said that investments are not for poor people. That there's nobody that have invested their way out of poverty. The reason being that if you look at the formula for investment, if you look at the quotient for investment, you will see that a constant factor there is principle. And most persons starting out from poverty, most persons starting out generally have just one thing they're starting out with. And these are more like middle class people even. And I'm talking about an education. But now, the essence of my videos is to reach out to even those that are starting from nothing, those starting with zero. My intention is to activate the law of recognition in your life to show you that what you really need for your next level is actually within you. When you start talking like this, people start using derogatory terms on you. Apostle Joseph Selman said something that Africa has long been a people of servitude. The principles that bring us to the corridors of power, we fight those principles. You start hearing terms like aspire to perspire being used for people that try to liberate you from mental laziness, from mental captivity. You start hearing things like until we kill. I don't know if Instagram will ban this. Until we buy one motivational speaker, the others will not learn. You start hearing things like physician, heal yourself. If you know that much, why are you not rich? These are things that tend to keep people poor. You fight the principles that are out there to liberate your mind. We fight principles of value. We don't understand leadership. We don't understand influence. We don't understand value. And when teachers come out and try to teach you these things, you start saying rubbish. You start saying nonsense. But that's not the focus of my conversation. I remember Akin Alabi saying something that a man came to meet him at a seminar saying he had problems. And he told the man what to do. But instead of this man taking this advice, this man said that the advice is long term, that he has immediate problem that he needs to solve. Akin Alabi said, fast forward 2 years later, that man still came with that same problem. Just imagine if 2 years ago he had applied what Akin Alabi told him. Obviously, he would have made considerable progress 2 years later. Thoughts are jamming in my head. Thoughts things are jamming. I have so many things to talk about. So now, after making that discovery of we deviating away from innate abilities, I went on ChatGPT and told ChatGPT, let me get my phone. I said to ChatGPT, I asked ChatGPT to give me 100 innate ability. 100 innate attributes that are often associated with success across business, leadership, creativity, relationship, and personal growth. And yes, true to ChatGPT, he gave me 100 of that. Self-awareness, growth mindset, optimism, open-mindedness, intellectual curiosity, adaptability. And the list continues: accountability, punctuality, focus, responsibility, strong work ethic. You know, people, some persons believe that work is a curse. Some persons believe that them working is them being cursed. And then they see entrepreneurship as an escape from work. Let's trace this thought down to the Bible. Adam, before the curse and after the curse, had work as a principle, had work as his purpose. But after he left the garden, what changed? Not working didn't change. What changed was now the reason for work. Previously, the reason for work was for him to discover himself. But then after the curse, after he left the garden, the purpose of work now changed. He had to now work to eat. And the truth of the matter is, that still obtains till today. What I see most people do is, they get a job, and because of immediate needs, their life revolves around their job, and to break out of that circle of working to eat becomes difficult. The truth of the matter is, Christ came to liberate us from this curse. Christ came to restore us back to the original purpose of work. And if you still find yourself working so as to eat, you have to be strategic. You have to look for a way to break out of that. There's a teaching I would do, but I am trying not to do some teachings at the moment until after this my rehearsal phase. Then I would go, the teaching is actually the loop of poverty. Because if you're not intentional, you will remain in that loop. You know, it takes a certain speed for a rocket to break out of the orbit of the Earth. That is the same acceleration you need to apply to your life to break out of that loop of working to it. But that's not the... And let me go back. Some persons see entrepreneurship as a way of escape from work. But the truth of the matter is, the entrepreneur does more work, than even an employee. You will see that, you will find that as an employee, you will even do lesser work than when you become an entrepreneur. You will earn more being an employee than being an entrepreneur, because your business won't even pay you enough. This is to say that the work an entrepreneur does now is not necessarily... The reason why entrepreneurs get satisfaction from that work, despite they do more than they do as employees, is because the purpose of work now changed for them. They are serving people. They are serving a purpose. They are offering value, as against when they were employees, when they were just... in quotes. I'm not saying all entrepreneurs, all employees work just to eat. There are some persons that job they have is their purpose. The reason why God created them was so that they would be in that job and so that they will serve, because them being entrepreneurs, they won't be able to serve a certain category of persons. That is why I frown at people that laugh at those that do menial labor. My question is, if there's nobody doing that job, there will be chaos. See, nature's abhors vacuum. every job has a purpose. That is why I love what Pastor Poju said about the Protestant Reformation. They didn't mind about the kind of job you did. All they just wanted was for you to show strong work ethic. If you come in and say you're a lawyer, they treat you the same way, the way they treat somebody that is a mechanic. They treat you the same way as somebody that cleans gutter. That was what the Protestant Reformation did. Have I gone outside my context? So let's go back to, I was reading out. So these are the things I will be talking about. Imagination, critical thinking, innovation, resourcefulness. The truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, whether you're a Lepo or a Nepo. That was a trend that these virtues are virtues that you can cultivate. See, it is quite disturbing that when you talk like this, people will start grumbling and they will tell you, do you know what is happening in the country? Do you know, they start telling you about the problems of Nigeria and how difficult it is to break out. They start telling you reasons why what you are saying doesn't make any sense. I am not saying we don't have problems as a country. I am not saying things are not difficult. What I'm saying is you can find a way. The truth of the matter is, as I'm recording this tape now, I am scared of the response I would get. I am scared that people will come at me and they will start saying all these motivational speakers don't start. But the truth of the matter is, I don't care at this point. My target is to liberate your mind. And most especially, when you are starting out with literally nothing, with no support. I don't want to start calling names of those that literally started with nothing and then they're in the forefront of the game. If you discover something today that is guaranteed of succeeding, won't you do everything to make sure? Okay, let me give an example. You discovered an opportunity. You as it stands now, you're saying you don't have capital. That capital is your problem to start a business. This is an example. And then your mind came up with, you developed your mind so well that your mind came up with an opportunity that is so good, and there is a guarantee that it will succeed. Tell me that even if it takes ₦1 billion, as in, this is not a Hail Mary something like you are hoping that this one, it is guaranteed that it will succeed. And then the next level for that thing is ₦1 billion. Bro, I'm telling you, that ₦1 billion is going to come out. Let's look at something like Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook was at that position at the time. That is why you think venture capitalists don't have sense? You think they will just invest in anything? Amazon was at that point at the time. Alibaba, even Aliko Dangote was at that point at the time in his life, which now made it possible for his uncle to give him the loan in quotes that he gave him. And I'm saying to you also that if you develop your mind, the target is for you to develop yourself so well that you get to that point that you have that thing. And the truth of the matter is, you need the cooperation of the Holy Spirit and also the cooperation of this innate ability I'm telling you about. Persistence, determination, work ethic, excellence, strategic thinking, analytical ability. These are things that you have access to. These are things that you have influence over. Just like I said in the previous video. going forward, these are things I'll talk about. These are things I will emphasize. Maybe the next video I'll just pick one of them and then I'll expand on it like that. 100. At least I have 100 video from it. Sense of a mission, confidence, passion for purpose, willingness to sacrifice, integrity, honesty. Koshari said something, that honesty was his capital, integrity was his capital. He had honesty to the point that he could travel abroad and then tell these people to supply him credit. He calls it supplier's credit. That is basically integrity credit. I'll call it integrity credit. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is I am trying to develop this innate ability so that at least one day somebody will call my name in the presence of a man and say, if you want this done, call GK. If you want this, if you want somebody that would... Remember the parable in the Bible about a king that gave his servants talent and traveled. They never knew that a bigger role was coming. The one he gave 10 talent, 5 talent, 1 talent. It didn't matter the amount of talent, but what he just wanted was for these servants to show that yes, they could actually be trusted with talent, with something. The truth of the matter is, the same way you would treat 1,000 naira business is the same way you would treat $1 billion business. Pastor Banky jokingly says that if you're a government worker and then you are paid your gratuity, don't make the mistake of saying you want to start a business. He funnily said that just build a house, build 2 apartments, believing in one and rent out the other one. That if you make the mistake of saying you want to go into business, that business will die a natural death. Being that you had a laissez-faire attitude you've had a laissez-faire attitude in the past 40 years. A file doesn't move from you. I'm referring to you being in a government parastatal. A file doesn't leave your desk until you have finished eating granite and biscuits, granite and banana. Is it the same attitude you used for in a government parastatal that you want to apply to your business? That business will die a natural death. So this is me saying that it is about the innate ability. Pastor Kosfini Udoka, I mentioned his name in my last video. He's the resident pastor of House on the Rock, Asaba. He did a beautiful teaching about the indicators of success. That these are the things you see in individuals, and you know that this person, no matter the hell he goes through or he's going through at the moment, he is going to be successful. And I'm telling you today that if you have this innate ability, there is no demon on earth that can stop you from going to your next level when that opportunity presents itself. I have 19 minutes of tape already, so I'm going to cut the curtain here. Maybe I spoke like a preacher today. If you remember, I'll drop the work process of how I prayed, and I guess it's the Holy Spirit working in me at the moment. This video is going to cause trouble. I can guarantee that.